Hi folk, my name is the Meta Goblin, and today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 Skyrim mods. I'll be covering a good variety of different categories, but remember, this is more of a personalised list. You may not see your favourite mods in this video, and that's just simply because my YouTube channel is not your mother's breast at the end of the day. But hopefully you'll see a mod on this list that you haven't bothered to check out yet, or maybe you're completely new to Skyrim mods, in which case this video will be just a complete goldmine for you. And lastly, I'll be making a version of this video exclusively for console, because obviously some mods aren't going to work on console. Let's not talk about that in this video. But anyway, yeah. So be sure to throw me a sub so you don't miss that video when it comes out. But anyway, let's jump in. So I thought it would make sense to start with a mod that alters the start of a game. A few people have asked me about this because I normally feature it in my background footage for like my videos like this, and it's called the alternative start mod. Basically, it's going to add a lot of immersive starts, which I really like. One of my favourite is when you get crashed. Basically, you press this button. There's this this statue which will give you your options. If you choose the one where you basically just crash on a ship, you basically start the game and there's a turned over ship, and you have to kind of swim to the shore and kind of make your own way from there and try and find there's a cave quite close to that start, and you kind of go through the cave and try and find some supplies. It's just a little bit more immersive and a little bit more interesting. You've also got a lot of there's also things like you can start as a necromancer in a cave. You basically character starts there just making some potions, which is pretty cool, and you've got your own kind of thrall around, or if you take the vampire option, which is pretty cool. And there's another one where you just completely get left for dead. So another one that's kind of similar to the crash ship one. You've also got a lot of convenient starts. Say for instance, right, I know on this character I'm gonna just go into the Thieves Guild and do the Thieves Guild. You can just start as in the Thieves Guild, which is pretty cool. And you can also start as basically one of the starts you where you basically first go to the Castle Varken, the Dawnguard DLCs, and then you can also switch that around to the Dawnguard Castle, so you can start off as a vampire hunter or a vampire lord, which is another really cool thing as well. But anyway, that is the alternative start mod. The second one on the list is definitely one of my favourite mods. It makes the game, I'm not saying a lot more like Oblivion, but just a little bit more challenging and difficult, which is one of the things I kind of disliked about Skyrim. I mean, I'm not saying Skyrim's a bad game, but I do prefer more complicated RPG games. I like to be challenged. So if you're the kind of person that likes to be challenged when they play an RPG, then PERKUS MAXIMUS is just going to be an absolute godsend. You get a lot more interesting and challenging perks, which you actually have to kind of think about. There's I think probably about twice as much perks, maybe even 3 times as much perks, and you got 200 new spells as well, which kind of sound. I mean, to be honest, I'm not kind of that happy about that, because sometimes it can just be a bit too much, but I think eventually you will get used to it. I mean, say for instance, you got new spells you can summon with the illusion tree. I think that's kind of a problem with the illusion tree, is sometimes you just want to, well, I mean, it's alright, but sometimes you just want to blast someone with some fireballs, but then you would have to get destruction. But anyway, with illusion you can do some some proper damage. You can summon phantoms to help you. And another thing that's really cool is the the novice, apprentice and master kind of perks. I mean, in vanilla Skyrim, basically all it would do is reduce the mana cost of things. You're not going to get many mana cost reduction spells. All the spells, none of the spells are going to become redundant. They're always going to be useful, which is another cool thing. And basically those kind of perks will have passive effects, it will just a spell would do something differently, or when you cast this spell it will also do this to all your spells. So that is another cool thing. It also doesn't just affect spells, it will affect the more of a warrior kind of builds that you want to make. You've got a lot, 10 times, loads more weapon types, and they each have their own different advantages and disadvantages. So they'll either have you've got certain, a dagger for instance will have a higher bleed effect. So you've got bleed, stagger and defense, so it'll either give one of those buffs. So if you've got a dagger, it's going to do more bleed damage than a mace for instance, and mace is going to increase your defense, so it's going to increase your armor. you know, because it's like a thing that you can parry with pretty well. And yeah, if, you know, obviously with like a two-handed weapon, you're going to be able to stagger people more. And you have a lot of interesting perks where, say if you manage to get a good like combo going with your attacks, then you get put into some kind of frenzy. And another thing I really like is the game you have like certain perks which give you certain advantages depending on your position, like in combat, which is another dope thing. It also affects, you know, all alchemy, enchanting, and it makes and sneak and stuff like that. Generally just make all the skills a little bit more interesting. And the next one I have for you is FROSTFALL. FROSTFALL is basically, I mean, it's a mod you can't really live without. It basically makes the game cold. You will actually freeze to death, like when you're going high up a mountain, and you will have to like bring along a torch, you know, some soup, some firewood to make a campfire, a tent. You're gonna burn some animal fat to keep it going. And you will have the option to craft like cloaks and stuff and like warmer clothes. So when you're like actually travelling, you won't be travelling in your armour. You know, your armour will be on your horse or something. Or, well, you can just, I don't think it will actually be on your horse, but that's like, if that's where you can think it will be. You'll be travelling in your warm clothes. You won't just be travelling in your armour. And you also get wet, which is pretty cool. Like when you go into water, when you get out the water, you're gonna basically get hypothermia and die unless you make a campfire and dry off. So yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. The next mod I have for you is basically, it's going to be really good for those of you who really like the Dawnguard DLC. You don't necessarily have to have a Dawnguard DLC to play this, but it's called Better Vampires, and it basically does what it says. What I do like about this mod is extremely customizable. I mean, say for instance, you can make your vampire, like if you're a vampire, you can become more powerful by drinking the blood of people rather than staying away from drinking people and starving yourself. So you get more powerful by the more blood you drink, which personally I think makes a little bit more sense. So you can change stuff around like that. You can get rid of the sun debuff, like if you hate the fact that walking in the sun is, you know, kind of annoying, you just remove it. But that's not what all the mod is about. You've got a lot of added features and a lot of added spells, like for instance, like you can turn NPCs, like well, maybe not any NPC in the game, but a lot of NPCs in the game, you can just, like, if they're sleeping, you can turn them into vampires, and they can like become your follower, because you're basically like infecting them. That's what I didn't really like about, you know, being a vampire in Oblivion and Skyrim, because you will go and drink the blood of people, but they won't turn into a vampire. I mean, fair enough, like if you've read Dracula, then you know that the person who's you're drinking the blood of also has to drink your blood. But you know, I thought it would have been cool if you could go around like infecting the entire town, and you will be able to do that with this mod. One other thing I didn't like is how those perks only really, you know, in Dawnguard, they only really helped you out when you were in Vampire Lord form, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to be in Vampire Lord form all the time. But with this mod, you will get lots of abilities, lots of perks for when you're not actually in a Vampire Lord form. So, you know, you'll be able to, there's like this really cool spell where you can blast people into the air and like rip them apart to shreds, which is really cool. And yeah, fifth mod I have for you is Tame the Beasts of Skyrim. This is one of my personal favourites. I cannot play Skyrim without this mod installed anymore. And it gives you basically the ability to tame any animal in the game, like including trolls and stuff. And they also kind of like level up. They have like, you know, kind of like a level up system similar to yours. You can choose whether you want that creature to be, or that particular beast to be like a tanky one, so it soaks up damage and takes aggro, or just more of a DPS, so like a wolf just throws in there and like smashes people up. You've also got, you can also tame certain magical creatures like the Spriggan and stuff, which is pretty cool. I think the Spriggan can heal you as well, yeah, I mean that's pretty dope as well. And you've also got these like special quests to go out and find like particular rare beasts and stuff like that. And there's also basically a pet shop just outside Whiterun where you can go and sell your pets and buy food for them to make them more powerful. And then you can like keep them there in like a stable so you can get all your pets in like the garden, which is kind of cool. For number 6, I have for you the Climates of Tamriel. This is another mod, what did I say then? This is a mod that I just can't live without. What it's going to do is going to make the weather 10 times more interesting, because it will add a lot of variety to the weather effects. Just by looking at the sky, you're going to see, well, that it looks a bit different. You know, at night you're going to see more stars, you're going to see the moon, you're going to see different colours, you're going to see basically like space and nebulas and really cool things like that. It also adds a lot of new sounds, like general sounds like animals and thunder. You know, because you can't really hear the thunder in Skyrim, you know, vanilla Skyrim, but with this mod on, you're definitely going to proper hear a good amount of thunder. And there's also this option to make dungeons a little bit more darker, which makes dungeons just a little bit more challenging and, well, pretty scary, which is another thing I really like. But to be honest, I would recommend getting a separate mod that does that, because I've found that Climates of Tamriel doesn't really do it that well. So yeah. For number 7, I have immersive armor and weapons. I've never really installed a proper armor mod, because I'm like, well, it's a bit of effort to kind of like download an entire mod just to get one armor set. I was just like never really into that. But immersive armor and weapons, it basically will add like a number of different armor sets. A lot of them are extremely lore friendly. I mean, a lot of them you just like, it's like different armor sets from different parts of Tamriel, which is pretty cool. You also got like certain variations of the armor, certain variations of the weapons. And what I really like about it is the shield art. You get loads of different types of shield art, and I'm pretty sure you can paint one. I think you can customize it yourself as well. So yeah, that's a pretty cool mod. For number 8, if you're interested in followers and companions and stuff like that, I mean, I prefer just, I think well, I guess they are useful. You can have to have them. It does make general adventuring and dungeon crawling a little bit more interesting, a little less lonely to have a follower. But this mod is called the Ultimate Follower Overhaul. It's absolutely mandatory, to be honest, if you're going to bother with followers, because it adds like a massive amount of settings. Like it's like you look at a menu and like, oh, this is going to take a while to get used to, but you will get used to it. It's not that hard to pick up. You've got stuff like customizing the stats and armor. You can first of all have more than one follower, which is pretty cool. You can turn any NPC into a follower, well, when it won't crash the game. And then you can order them to do like learn certain spells. You can really like basically customize any follower to basically yeah, because you can reset their levels, so take them down to like level 1, and then you level them up manually. So you're like, right, I want him to have this stat, this stat, this stat. Then I want him to have this amount of health, this amount of magicka. So, you know, you may have like a follower who you think's really cool, but you're like, well, he's not really that good. I don't really like his stats, I don't really like the weapons he uses. And basically with this mod you can just, really you get to choose a follower for the actual person, for his personality. Like, so if you really like that Cicero guy because it makes you laugh, and then you can change him around and turn him into a big tank, you know, something like that. And you can also make them dance for you for some reason. You can make them do like loads of these animations if you want. Anyway, let's jump on to number 9. This is another one of my mods I personally like, and it's not for everyone, but it's basically a mod called I Need. And basically pretty self-explanatory mod. You will actually have to sleep, eat and drink. I mean, it won't kill you if you don't do that. There's a lot of like these mods about. I personally think this one's the best because it isn't that punishing and boring and tedious. But basically you get like a health debuff if you don't eat enough food, you get a magicka debuff if you don't drink enough water. And what I really like about it is it actually forces you to go into the inns and force you to become part of the world. You have to go into inns and talk to people and rent a room now and again. You know, and it also makes the cooking skill a little bit like more useful. It doesn't make it completely redundant like it pretty much is in the game. That's what I really didn't like the cooking thing is like a really cool thing in the game. Like but barely anyone uses it. But with this mod, because like better food, like cooked food, food that you can basically make using the cooking window will be more useful at keeping you not keeping you alive, but reducing that health, making sure you don't get that health debuff. And I just generally like the urgency to like kind of find food when out adventuring or in the cave can be quite scary and fun, because you're there like, oh my god, I got low health, let's try and find a bread roll around here or something, because it's a little bit more realistic and just like a little bit. But it's not for everyone, but I just personally quite like that kind of feature in the game. And for our last mod, I haven't actually personally played this mod. I'm just really re-uttering, whatever you would call that, what my friend's experience of this mod. And he said it's like literally the best the best quests in any kind of RPG game he's ever played, and that is interesting NPCs. The reason why he likes it so much is that it's pretty hard as nails. You're not gonna get you know, quest markers with this mod. Basically, what the mod will do is add like 250 new NPCs and like 50 new quests, and the quests are just like they just say they just one more time. It's kind of hard to explain, but it makes it, I guess, more interesting. But I'm trying to think of a better way to say that. A better way to say it is Sherlock Holmes. There you go. That kind of sums it up. You quests are more like they're less like just jumping into a cave, killing a troll, getting loot, and running out. It's more about talking to people, finding out information about people, finding clues, and being like a proper hardcore detective in order to complete the quest. So if you like The Witcher 3, for instance, that kind of quest style, personally I think it's like, I mean, The Witcher 3, I liked the detective styled quests, like the Witcher contracts for the main storyline itself. So if you like that kind of thing, then you definitely have to get this mod. But yeah, word of warning, it is quite difficult because you're not going to be spoon-fed quest markers or anything like that. You're going to have to like work things out and think and read. You're going to actually have to read. So if you don't like that kind of thing, then I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're into that thing, it's definitely a very, very good mod. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave the video for now. Obviously, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video, which is specifically aimed at consoles. Anyway, my name is... Oh yeah, one last thing, obviously, do check out the video link in the description. I have a big library of videos very similar to these kind of videos, so if you want to watch more videos, if you have the time, then go check out that video link in the description. My name is the Metagoblin. Until my next video, ciao.